and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we're going to show you how to diagnose a charging system problem. This one is actually, it's a pretty clean-cut problem because when the vehicle is started and it's running, the alternator light or the battery light on the dashboard remains lit. So on your particular car it may say generator, it may say alternator, it may say battery, whatever it is. I'm going to show you how to diagnose it so you do the repair one time and you don't do it a second time for nothing. So, all right, first thing you're going to do is you're going to come over and you're going to check everything with the battery. Now this particular vehicle, you can see the battery is actually, it's pretty corroded. We are going to clean this up before we let this job go. But I'm going to show you how to test it now. So the way I would do it is you can do it two ways. You can do it with a multimeter to check the output on the alternator, or you can do it the way that I'm going to do it here, and it's going to be with a tester like this, which is meant to diagnose the charging system. All right, so let me show you how to do with the one I use first, and then I'm going to show you how you can do with just a regular multimeter to find out what the problem is. All right, so first thing we're going to do . First thing we do is you connect up your meter to the battery as negative and positive. Make sure you have a good connection. And with this particular one, you can actually, we're going to do an in-vehicle test. You just press this. We're going to use the cold cranking amps. Now this battery, I already looked at it, is actually rated at 850, what they call CCA, cold cranking amps. So we're going to test the battery first. Alright, so it has a surface charge. The battery is good. It's a little bit weak, but that's normal because the alternator was not charging. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a starter draw test, and then we're going to go ahead and do an alternator test. So we're going to press this. Now we're going to start the engine. And I'll see if you can see this. It's going to be a little noisy, just so you know. It's a little bit noisy, but here we go. The cranking voltage was in the normal range, so we know the starter is okay. Now we're checking the alternator output. It's registering 14.49 volts, and then we're going to continue with the procedure now to actually figure out what's wrong with it. We're going to rev the engine for 5 seconds. Now it's testing at idle. It's testing the diode ripple. Now we have to turn all the loads on, and we'll check it one more time. Okay, we're going to continue. Now it's testing it with the loads on, which means your headlights, your windshield wipers, stuff like that. Rev the engine for 5 seconds again. charging system normal, 14.50, and diode ripple is normal. So now it's charging. We're going to let this run for a couple of minutes because that's the issue. After it runs for a couple of minutes, it starts to, the light lights up on the dashboard. So we're going to let this run for a couple of minutes and then we're going to continue. Reconnect our machine again. And we're going to do the exact same test that we just previously did. We're going to set the ratings for 850. It says surface charge, but it has to be recharged. We're going to test the starter now. Let's start the engine. Charging system now. And now it's asking, is it a diesel? Yes or no? No, it's not a diesel. Analyzing data. Charging system problem. No charging voltage. 11.89, and it's not charging at all. Now, the way you can test it with your with a multimeter, you can put your multimeter on it and you can actually check the charging system to see what's going on. And right now, as you can see, it's 11.83 volts. So we know that that alternator is not charging at all. All right, so let me just show you a couple of things you have to test before you can make sure that the alternator is absolutely no good. First thing you want to check is you want to make sure that on the that all your electrical connectors here are in good condition. As you can see, there is a little corrosion on here, but nothing significant. Same thing on this side over here. We are going to clean these before we do anything further, but even as you can see right now, looking at the headlights, you can see how dim they are, and you can see how slow the windshield wipers are going on the truck. See how slow they're going? So we know that there is an issue there. Now, underneath here, and I'm going to show you now with the truck running, one very important thing that you need to check. Gotta move this. I'm going to take this off. So let me take this off, and we'll come right back. Okay, I know it's a little noisy, but I just want to point this out to you. If you're in here and the engine is running, and you're going to check in the back by the alternator in here, make sure you don't get your fingers or your test light caught in that fan belt, because you don't want to have a chance on losing any kind of digits or causing further damage. All right, so be careful with, if you're working on it with the engine running, be extremely careful. While your engine is running, but the main thing is you want to check to right here and that there isn't an issue with the main lead. And as you can see now, it's charging again. So we do have an intermittent condition with this alternator. So we are going to replace it. Okay, let me shut this off. That was quick. Okay, now being that this condition is actually intermittent here, we're going to make sure that we check all of these leads in here to make sure that there's no damage to these electrical leads in here. I can see the positive is actually a little bit oxidized. It looks like it's green inside there. But, you know, we'll take a look at that when we take it apart. All right, so now we're going to change the alternator. The way we're going to change the alternator is we're going to take this fan belt off of here. Once we take this belt off, we're going to unbolt this bracket here and here, and then we'll pull this alternator forward and out. The way this one here works is that you see down underneath here, this bolt here, that bolt right there, and right there. We're going to take those two bolts out, and then we'll pull this alternator up and out of here. Now we may have to take off the air filter. I'm sorry, the air intake here. We may need to take this off just to get this up and out of here, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's grab a couple of wrenches and let's get started. First thing you're going to do before you do anything is we're going to take the battery cable off right here. We're going to take the positive or negative. In this particular case, I am going to take the negative cable off first. And just locate that off to the side and out of the way. Now we're going to take out those 10mm bolts. To do this without taking off the... I'm going to attempt to do this without taking off this air filter assembly right here. This piece right up in here. Hopefully I don't have to take it off, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to release the tension on the fan belt here. We're going to remove the belt. Release the belt. And we're just going to lay the belt down on the bottom for now. And then we're going to take out the 10mm bolts on the top of the alternator right here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off those 10mm bolts on the alternator itself. You don't have to take them all the way out, just loosen them up. And then we're just going to pull the alternator out of the right here. We'll take this bracket off, just so it's not in our way. Put this off to the side. Now we'll lift our alternator up. Okay, not going to happen. Got to take this. We're going to have to remove that just to get that out of there. All right, the way you take that off, just loosen these bolts right here. Should be high enough to get the alternator out now. And then we'll just take this off to the side like this. And now we're going to disconnect these cables right here. So let me grab a wrench, just unplug and we'll continue. Electrical plug here. And we're going to unplug the other one right here. Be very careful not to break them. And now being that you have this off, take a look in here to make sure that everything is in good condition and nothing is damaged. As you can see, this is in good condition, there's nothing wrong here. Next thing we'll do is just pull that cover back like that. And then we'll take off this bolt right here, the nut I should say. And we'll take our alternator out. And now we'll get the replacement, and we're going to match it up just to make sure it's correct. As you can see now, we're going to match the alternators up. All right, our brackets are both the same. Our bolts up on the top are the same, and our electrical leads are the same. All right, so we got the right alternator. Now we're going to put it back in, and we'll get this together. Okay. Now, remember, your leads were on here first before you put it back in, so that's what we're going to do. Remember, that lead was coming to the front. So you put it back on like this. We'll reconnect the nut. And then we can snug it down already. Don't go over tightening it and snap it off. Make sure you put your cover back over the top like this. Take your electrical plug. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. Until it snaps in place. And then reconnect that small lead in here. And then we're going to lay our alternator back in place. We'll put them back on the bolts on the bottom down there first. And now before we go any further, we're going to reconnect our bracket here and make sure that that wire connects back into it where it came out. What I do is tighten up the bolts on the top of the alternator here first. Before you go any further, these we're going to snug in later on. For now, we're just going to tighten these bolts up down the bottom. We're just snugging everything in right now. We're not tightening anything tight. everything's snug, now you can tighten all the bolts up. Okay, now before I tighten this up, we're going to put that fan belt back on. Okay, just make sure your belt is connected onto your alternator and all your other pulleys without an issue. And now we'll retighten the air breather snorkel back into place. Okay, now that we have everything reconnected, we have our pulley back on, we have our alternator bolts here tight, and the fan belt is back on. Before we do anything any further, make sure that the belt is on all the pulleys the way it's supposed to be. If everything is connected up the way it's supposed to be, which this one is exactly where it's supposed to be, now we're going to reconnect our negative battery cable, which is right here. We're just going to reconnect our negative cable, and then we're going to tighten it up. We will clean these off later on, but I just want to test to make sure everything is okay. Get everything out of the way. And then we're going to go through our test one more time, just to make sure everything is okay. Here's our test equipment, right here. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you can see that okay. We're going to do an in-vehicle test again. We're going to check the CCAs on the battery again. We're going to do a complete test all over again to verify the repair. We do have to recharge the battery yet. We're going to check the starter now to make sure it's okay. Voltage was normal. Now we're going to check the charging system. And we're going to continue with it. It's going to do the test on it. Rev the engine for 5 seconds. Okay, after we revved it, now we're going to hit enter to continue. It's testing it at idle. Testing the diode ripple in the alternator. Now we have to turn the loads on and enter to continue. So let's turn the loads on first. Rev the engine for 5 seconds. Okay, let's analyzing the data. Charging system normal, 14.36 with everything off, and 14.28 with everything on. Charging system is normal. All right. Now I want to show you how to do with just the regular voltmeter also. All right, we're going to reconnect our voltmeter that we had on here before. Turning it on. Now we have all the loads on. And as you can see, it's 14.22. That's with everything on. That's with the headlights on, the radio on, the directional on, as well as the windshield wipers too at the same time. So that's it, we're all done. All right, next thing we're going to do obviously is we're going to put that snorkel back on the engine that we previously removed up in the front, right up underneath here. We'll put that snorkel back on, and then we're going to take it out and road test it, and we'll be in good shape. We'll be out the door. All right, so we're going to let this run a little bit just to confirm that the repair was done correctly, and then we'll call the customer, we'll get the vehicle back to them. All right, as always, thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.